What's going on, everyone? Sid Gordon here with Core Medical Group, and today I have a friend of mine that we've been friends with for probably over 10 years, and I talk a lot about definitions of a friend. I have Sabby Piscitelli on today, and he is an amazing guy, and the one thing that I really have noticed, he understands friendship. And to me, a good friend is another man that I can go out of contact with for 2 or 3 months, call, there's no resentment that there hasn't been a text message. He picks the phone up, we have a conversation. He's always there for me to bounce things off of. He's been through a lot. So Sabby, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate coming on this show, man. I'm excited.
So I don't know if we haven't had anybody on the show that has had such a diverse background, but Sabby, talk about where you grew up and kind of like what your childhood was like. I know you have amazing parents and
yeah,
great
I
brother.
grew up actually right here in South Florida, Boca Raton. I went to St. Joan of Arc. It was a Catholic private school my whole life, up to about 8th grade, and then I went to Boca High, which is right down the street. I grew up in a family of 5, 2 parents. I have a younger brother, older sister, old school Italian, 5 o'clock dinner every night. And my parents were very dedicated to raising a great family. Took me to sports every single night, took my sister to sports, took my brother to sports. So we grew up in a very wholesome, great household, very disciplined household. My dad's old school Italian. My mom's parents are from Holland, so she's Dutch, and they have those beliefs, and family's everything. So I had a tremendous support system. My parents was my backbone. My mom was the rock of the family, and I wouldn't be the man I am today without both my parents. That's 100% fact.
Yeah, it's the one thing that I've really focused on. I failed in it originally, but I have Jada, my oldest, with my ex, and I was young when I got married, young when I had Jada, done the best that I could there. But, that growing up, which, I did for a certain period of time, but until I was 14, having that family atmosphere and really understanding values is very hard to do when you're in a divorced family, right? Or you have an unhealthy household. Sometimes is even worse because of the reason why I got divorced. But like now being in my second phase with Juliet and Jax, like my main goal is to make sure that is not broken, and that like I can break that chain of an unhealthy household or divorce, because it's hard, and we'll get into it, but we've both been through the ringer and trying to stay on track and have guidance in our personal lives, and we're both at a very similar stage now with that. But for those of you guys out there, most pro athletes, I talk about my uncle, my Uncle Kurt, he started wrestling when he was like 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And to be a good wrestler, world champion wrestler, you have to wrestle every day, and somebody has to want it more than you because you're too young to understand that you have to do it every single day. You have to eat a certain way. And for you, I know you started football at the age of 17. Right.
Absolutely. Yep. So
like, how did that even happen? Because within 4 years now, 5 years you're drafted, right?
Yep. It's funny you say that was the last sport I picked up, ironically, and that was the only sport my parents did not allow me to play. Just my dad and mom were afraid of tackle football. So I actually, since I was 4 years old, I just loved sports. That's all I lived for. I competed every single day. So I played every single sport. So I had a great blueprint of work ethic, and I always wanted to be a pro athlete. I mean, from the day I can remember, I wanted to be a pro athlete. I just didn't know what sport at that time. Baseball was my main sport that I started to really thrive in when I hit high school. But one day I was at Boca High, and they have spring football in Florida. And I remember one of my buddies played football, and I was like, I'm going to go out and play football. I mean, I'm fast, I'm gifted, let me go. I had no idea what I was doing. So they put me at safety right away, right? You put him back there, and he'll run around. And I was 17 my junior year, and I was just a guy out there running around. And I looked up to people. We had these guys called the Fab Five. We called them Boca High. It was Evanson Bernard, Junior, Catman, Jimmy, and Eugene. And they were just like, they were a grade below me, and they were like, just absolute studs. They were freshmen starting on varsity, and they motivated me, and I was always kind of intimidated by them, like my junior year, and they were just so good. And I remember I wasn't that good. It was like a sport that I wasn't really that good at right away because I didn't know it.
And now you're pissed because you're
I was furious.
Because you're competitive.
I was furious. And I was like, because I was kind of always gifted to be that guy that was almost the best at every sport I played eventually. And I go into football and I took it personal. I really did. I remember after my junior year, I wasn't the guy I wanted to be. So I disappeared the whole summer, 3 months. I gained 25 pounds. I worked out every day at Gold's Gym, and I was determined to come back my senior year and make a difference. And I was blessed. I got lucky. I ended up being MVP of the team. I was Defensive Player of the Year in South Florida, and I had 0 scholarship offers at the time. And people were like, well, how does this guy have no scholarship offers? Because you have to kind of really blow up your junior year in high school to get recruited high for your senior year.
Yeah, you kind of already know where you're going.
Yeah, because they know about your junior year, and then they scout you your senior year, and they offer you, but no one knew who I was.
1 year of highlight tapes.
Exactly. So now I'm Defensive Player of the Year in South Florida, and I have no big offers. And my mom's furious, and then it started to become, you don't see a lot of white safeties. You just don't see them. A lot of white DBs. So I was fighting that stereotype. And I was privileged enough to get an opportunity by a guy named Dennis Erickson, who everyone knows, a big coach. He used to coach the Miami Hurricanes for a couple of years. And he called me, and he gave me an incredible opportunity. He gave me an opportunity to go to Oregon State. And at this time, I had 0 clue where Oregon State was. I actually had to Google their stadium, but I knew they were in the Pac-10.
Yep.
And at that point, I just wanted to get my foot in the door. Because I was like, get a foot in the door in a big college, big university, and I'll take it from there. And I was so determined and focused on that at that point that my whole life was predicated on being the best athlete / football player.
So what's that entail compared to your peers, right? Because now you did great your senior year. All your friends are probably out having fun, and now you're going to a D1 school, right? And you don't know what's going to happen, but now you have to sacrifice pretty much what it is to be a kid at that age, right? So, like, what was your mindset at?
So you hit the nail on the head, man. That's what I think people don't realize sometimes to be successful, the sacrifice you have to do. And I can tell you right now, never partied, never drank, never smoked. Because my mindset was everything I do from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep was predicated to make me a better athlete and a better football player. So if it didn't make me a better football player, I didn't do it. And I knew I was so behind the 8 ball. I mean, most people that make it to the NFL, I would say 95% of people make the NFL, they start before the age of 7. I'm 17 starting. So now I'm like, all right, everything that I have to do in my life every single day has to be predicated to being the best athlete.
There's something actually cool about that too, and I've seen it in MMA. The fact that you were an amazing athlete in different arenas in sports, and that you actually, in some point of view, you saved a lot of wear and tear on your body throughout that time. And you were blessed, right, with good genetics, hard work, good mindset at the age of 17 to step up then. But think about having 10 years before that, playing safety, dude. Like, a lot of that wear and tear happens in junior high and in high school. You had 1 year of maybe getting injuries.
100%. And that's funny you said it, because there is a pro and con to everything, right? Now, that is the pro, right? So my body was a little fresher than some of the guys in college and even the NFL when I got there. The negative part was the lack of experience you have, right?
Understanding all the plays, skill set.
That's the thing that I had to really work. I mean, I was watching film. There'd be times at 11, 12 o'clock in college, I'd be in the film room. The head coach would come in, like, we're closing down the whole office. You still in here? Yes, coach. Like, I had, and I wouldn't change it for the world, but I didn't live a normal college life, right? I didn't go out. I was so focused on the task at hand that nothing else even bothered me, right? I mean, I was living Oregon, coming from the beach where it's sunny every day, to literally you don't see the sun for 6 months. Literally, Sid, 6 months. But I was so focused that I was like, all right, this is just a pit stop to get to where I want to get to.
Short sacrifice.
Sacrifice. And that's what, for me, I sacrificed everything I could to be the best I could be at that position. And it was like a challenge for me, right? People were like, dude, you're first of all, you only played football for 2 years. You're not going to go to D1 and start. You'll probably play 1 year. Okay, challenge, check.
Yep.
3-year starter.
Yep.
Boom. Oh, Sabby, you're not going to be in the NFL. If you're a white safety, second round draft pick, starter in NFL, check. For me, it was more like challenges. But what did I have to do to achieve those challenges? And that's the sacrifice. You hit it on a big word. That word sacrifice is a little misconstrued these days. And
Big
sacrifice, there's no success. I've never met a millionaire by accident. Never. I mean, unless you have somebody who wins the lottery, right?
Or a lucky sperm cell.
Right. I never met a millionaire that doesn't have the mindset and the sacrifice and the determination to be successful. It just doesn't happen like that. So for me, I was behind the 8 ball. So I had to really make up for that, the sacrifice of it.
So the other thing too, it's funny, I'm close with a lot of pro athletes, and they'll always say to me, "Oh, dude, that guy's cocky, that guy's this." But what I see is that, like, in order to be a Branch Warren, one of the best bodybuilders of all time, right? Focus just on his body, the way he looks on stage, to be a Ray Lewis, to be a Sabby, to be a Anthony Rumble Johnson or a Rashad Evans, you have to be fucking selfish. And the problem with that is that selfish is looked at by civilians like myself as cocky, arrogant, too good for others, right?
It's a fine line.
But the reality of it is that you can't do it unless it's all about Sabby. You can't.
Sid, you just hit the nail on the head, and I admit now, when I look back, I was extremely selfish. But I was extremely selfish for the goals I wanted to achieve. So you put the energy in the right position. I mean, I look back and it's like, I was never in a serious relationship because I knew I wasn't going to be a good boyfriend to the girl I'm dating, right?
Yeah. Or you didn't want to take the time for them.
But not even that. I would tell if I even met somebody when I was playing in the college, I said, listen, my number one priority is football. That's it. I said, we could be friends. I said, but that's all you're going to get from me. But I would kind of lay it out there because you have to be selfish to be successful. And even if you meet successful CEOs, anybody who's successful in a business, Sid, you're very successful. You know you had to be selfish at sometimes in your life to build your business, to build your brand. And yes, there's times where you could sit back and say, okay, I've built this, I've done this. Maybe it's time for me to take a little bit of selfishness off me and either give back or put more time into a relationship, or maybe, it's one of them things where you don't say sorry, but you almost come around to
make up for lost ground.
Exactly, make a lost ground. Sometimes you got to make other stuff priority that really wasn't priority.
I'm working on that right now. Yeah,
and we all are. And I think that's an everyday struggle. I think every day we have to evolve and change because, like you said, it's what makes you successful sometimes can be a negative in other aspects of your life.
Well, the thing for me, right, is so when I started Core, okay, up until like 4 years ago, and still now, Jax has to deal with it, but the people closest to you suffer the most from your selfishness. 100%. Like, for instance, like you went away to school, I'm sure you wrote off 99% of the people that you were friends with in Florida while you were away at school because you didn't need a distraction. And the ones that were true friends, just like I said about you, came right back to you when you came back, like Alan, Mike, all those guys.
Yeah.
And they understand, they get it, right?
Yeah.
For me now, it's like, all right, well, Core is at this place of like, oh my God, but now my addiction of growth in business, like I am now, that's where the balance needs to come in place. Cause like I'm good right now, like I'm good, but where do I shut it off? Right. And the thing is that sometimes, sometimes someone gets to choose when it gets shut off.
Yep.
And then the harder part is when to shut it off by yourself and find the balance, which you've done both. And for me, I'm really working on that now. So the beauty of it is out there is that like it doesn't matter what you're dealt. I don't think from what you just said, it's really like where you see yourself and where it's what direction you need to be ambitious at that point of your life.
Well, so you just said too, like the selfish part that you affect others. Like I went 11 Christmases in a row without being with my family from football. I missed funerals. I missed my grandma, grandpa, my aunt, and my uncle's funeral because of football, right? So you look back in life and you say, okay, is it still worth it? Do you get to a point where I'm okay at this aspect of my life? Do I need to maybe spread my time out a little other place? And then it changes what's important to you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have 2 beautiful kids, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you start to change what's important to you, right? Is it, can I continue to want to build this business to even further heights? Or listen, I'm good. I've been very successful. Let me build a relationship with my kids or my wife, whoever it is. Let's spend more time here. And I think that's what I'm transitioning to a little bit at my aspect of my life is what was important to me is not as important anymore when it comes to that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean that's the daily battle.
100%.
It's daily battle. So talk to me. So through college, you had some good stats there. I think you were like number 5 in the country.
Yeah, I was very blessed to have a tremendous college career. Now I look back on it, and I was very fortunate and very privileged. Dennis Erickson actually went to the NFL when I first got there. So we had a coach by the name of Mike Riley, and the defense coordinator was Mark Banker, and he was like my second dad. And I had the privilege to.
He's still coaching?
They both retired.
Okay.
And I look back now, I didn't know at the time that I needed that father figure. I needed the coach to really kind of tell me what to do because I wasn't as, experience-wise. I was gifted athletically, but I didn't know the game of football that well. So I had an opportunity to have a guy who was like my second dad in college, my defensive coordinator. He would sit me down, teach me the game. He would tell me, listen, Sab, physically you have every tool in the world to be in NFL. But you got to master this, and this. We have to, you have to grow in these areas. And I was fortunate to, right from my sophomore season, my first start ever was against LSU, national TV, 98,000 people, Saturday Night Live.
From Boca High.
Yeah, from Boca High, right? A white safety, no one expected a lot from. And second play of the game, I pick off and ran for a touchdown. And ever since then, I remember I just got fortunate to be in the right situation at the right time to really start to go like this.
Oh, you needed that. I think
by game 4 of my sophomore year,
yeah,
I had 4 interceptions. I was like top in the country, and all of a sudden we had like 2 games on national TV, so I was getting some buzz. And they were like, "Who's this new safety?" So I was very fortunate to be in a great program with a great team that allowed me to excel. And my college career went like this, and my pro career wasn't as fortunate to go like this because I had a lot of more bumps in the road that we'll probably talk about in a little bit. But as it comes to college, I went to a team, and another thing about Oregon State, very wholesome people.
Yep.
They don't have a professional team, so their football team, Oregon and Oregon State, is they live and die. Yep. That is
even high school football.
100%. If you're a high school star, you're like walk on water in Oregon. Yep. I'm being serious.
They're naming they're naming food after
100%. So all of a sudden I go to Oregon and I get really a tremendous fan base. That I was just felt so loved and appreciated that sometimes you don't find other parts of the country because they just love their football. So I was very fortunate and very blessed to go to a tremendous team, a tremendous opportunity, a tremendous college that allowed me to be a second-round draft pick.
So, when you were coming to an end in college, what were your feelings? Were you just like, did you feel like you were so ready for the NFL?
That's a great question,
dude,
man.
Because
let me tell you something.
When I start a new business, like I'm willing to lose everything I have for that business, but there's still the fear of the unknown. Like I'm the type of guy, just like you, that you can take everything in the world from me today. Next year at this time, I'm pretty sure I'll have it back, right? But now you went from Boca High to Oregon State to now you're going to the NFL. I think the writing was on the wall early in your junior year that you probably were going to go, right?
Yeah.
Like, and now you have your whole junior year that you're playing, thinking about going to the NFL. What was that like?
That's such a great question, Sid. If I had to give some advice first before I talk about it, my advice to young kids, great to have a dream, great to have goals to work for. But if I get some advice in college right now, live in the moment.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moment. Appreciate the moment of where you're at. And I say that because, like you asked me, what was my mindset? Oregon State was just a pit stop for me in my head the whole time. Pit stop.
It was just there as a tool.
As a tool. And I'll tell you a quick story that changed me. My mom used to tell me, Dad, go out, enjoy the moment, live in the moment. No, Mom, I want to get to the NFL. We had senior day. Okay, so senior day is the last home game. All the seniors get called out individually. And I was second to last because the last person was like a hometown hero, like you talked about. He was a high school star. His college career was okay, but they wanted to put him last, and they put me second to last. So they're announcing everybody. It was about 60,000, 65,000 people. And they're announcing every senior one by one. And you hear the claps, you hear the claps, you hear the claps. Sid, I mean this in a humbling way. I step my foot on the turf and I come out of the tunnel and they announce my name. I've never to this day, I could even get emotional now. I've never heard to this day a sound in that stadium. And it just erupted. And I remember saying to myself, I was like, wow, like I gave these people that much joy to watch me play for 3 years, but I didn't appreciate it because I was like, all right, next stop, NFL, next stop, NFL.
Yep.
So I remember I get called out and I see my parents in the middle of the field and you don't even hear the last guy get called out. It was still so loud. Oh. And all of a sudden he like runs by me because I kind of took my time. I was kind of emotional. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying to myself like, wow, I didn't even know
the effect
or appreciate the effect I was giving to Oregon State. And I actually got teared up. I can still get teared up because I didn't live in the moment. And none of them say I regret it because I think it kept me focused on the task at hand. But
you're still young.
If I could go back
yeah.
and appreciate how amazing college football was for me, it changed. It made me the man I am today. The camaraderie. I still think to this day, I had a privilege to play 6 years in the NFL. I still think to this day, I'd do anything to play one more college football game.
Yeah.
The family, the cohesiveness. And you made a great point. Where was my mindset? At the time, my mindset was go to the NFL. But from what I learned now, I wish I was caught in the moment more. Mm-hmm. Like even my mom asked me one day, we were driving, she said, you ever go to those bars or whatever? I said, never been there. She's like, really? I'm like, no, never been there. I didn't care, right? I was like this. I was like a horse. I was a racehorse with blinders.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was, if I had to give some advice to some young kids that are watching this, have dreams, have expectations, have goals. Always challenge yourself, always try to be better, but live in the moment. Enjoy the moment. Because you're never going to get today back, right? We're never going to get this podcast back. We're never going to get those moments back. So that I wish I did a little better job of.
Even on a smaller level, not having 60,000 people, like, you know, I mentor kids here and there. And when they talk about, you know, they want to start a business, they want to do this, they want to do that. And when you talk about being in the moment, like a lot of people, your goals were to be an amazing athlete and to make money in the NFL. And the one thing, you know, about college football is the reason why I like college football is you guys aren't playing for $1. You guys are playing for heart,
100%.
Right? And that dream and hope to go to the NFL, which 1% do,
100%.
Right? So there's a lot to play for. But
it's true football.
But it's not about money.
It's not business. It's true football.
Exactly. It is now.
It's man versus man in college.
Yeah, exactly.
The better man wins. The better man plays. It's not like really like that at next level.